Okay.
Hey
People.
guys, how are y'all doing? Welcome to KD Live with Jonathan,
Hello.
Scott, and Dwayne.
Hey guys. Thanks for waiting for me as I just wrapped up that webinar with HD-T.
Hey, you know what? Whatever we could do for you, Jonathan, you
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 think,
are part of the fearless leaders. So
Do you think that we had like some real KD fans who have come over from the HD-T webinar and now are here at the KD live and they're just waiting for the next media release to drop from KeyDigital?
yeah,
it, it could,
they can't get enough of you, Johnny. This is like your
it,
12th webinar since 2 o'clock this morning, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and I've been communicating with, shout out to our guys in Kenya as well. Been communicating with them. We had partners from India and Europe and Asia, um, in addition to North America. So really fantastic opportunity, and it's always fun. Like, have either of you guys been to ISE before?
No, I haven't had the privilege yet.
It's just such a unique experience from my perspective of the U.S. trade show. You know, it's a trade show,
Yeah.
but
A cultural experience too.
it's a cultural
Yeah.
experience, man. And you have to like my first ever ISE, we had a KeyDigital employee who was actually living in Europe, and he's the one that brought us into the show. He said, we got to do the show. I went out there, and after my first chat with people on day number one, he said everything was great, but you spoke about 10 times too fast for them. So you really have to slow down. And even when you slow down, you kind of now you're thinking about what words you use to make sure those are just a little more base level, a little more universal. And so it's always an experience with that. And it's uh, something that I carry over into all the webinars that go with our overseas partners as well. So
No,
yeah, cultural for sure.
the same thing is, and I don't mean anything by it or whatever. Everything is open. Is the the north south routine, the way Dwayne goes and the way I go. You know. So it's
I know we speak a little too fast for you, Scott, but
yeah.
Oh, is that? That's right. Too fast.
It is 100% interesting, but I'm sure Jonathan, a lot of your stalkers are following you again today. But you know,
Yeah,
but being that
that's
everybody joined us, and I'm sure everybody's having a busy day today, so we wanted to go through and talk about our latest and greatest, the KD-EX18G, which
yeah.
we'll do a little combination sharing and presenting on this one.
this
Um,
is a really, really cool new product that we are shipping, and I'm real excited to talk about it this morning because it's got some really neat features and that distinguish it on its own. It doesn't really compete with our other extenders. It's not like in between this and that. It's some different features depending on what you need.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's almost like, we took what people love about Key Digital, the fixing tools, the EDID,
yep,
and the hot plug detection, for example. And we now have a product that adds something a little more active and just look, we're constantly evolving. Just because we have a really reliable bulletproof system with our extenders doesn't mean that we can't make it better. So I'm excited about that aspect of it from the tech side.
Stay 2 steps ahead, then we wind up being way behind.
That's it, man. That reminds me of back in the old days when we first released our HDMI matrix. Um, we got a feedback that there was a huge consultant meeting at one of the larger companies in the industry, and about their HDMI matrix version 2.0 release, by the way, because the first one was very, very problematic. And we got calls from the consultants who said, hey, I just want you to know, when we all asked, how do you handle the handshaking and HDCP and everything? Their response was, we're doing it like KeyDigital. And so now I'm calling you to find out
What
how
is
can
it
we
you
work
do?
with you? And then I told Mike Sinberg that, and they said, and Mike said, okay, well, that means they're going by what we did 2 years ago. So we're going to be, we're still 2 years ahead of them. So,
Exactly.
yep. Sorry, long story there, but it reminded me of that. And it's so
But
true. And it was true a decade ago, and it is now.
What's a great segue into this particular product?
yeah, real quick, one more thing I was going to add is I don't think people realize, myself, you, the whole entire sales team, is we're involved in all the R&D aspects, so we can at least get the field feedback to the engineers, to Mike and everybody else. So
Yeah, the features that our dealers say they want in future
Yeah.
products, and the things they say, hey, we don't really use that. It's not that necessary, etc. And I think it helps overall. But our engineers are just phenomenal. Of course, Mike is just, his brain is. We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy. That's a movie reference I picked up on.
You got
Yeah.
that one?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Scott, you got some slides for us, my man?
I absolutely do have some slides.
Not of Wayne's World, but of the
There we are. There we are. Oh, that's the one right there. Let's just pause
Whoops.
on this before. Yeah, I know it's not the first one. That's fine.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not an official presentation unless we, go through all the slides.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Yeah. So first off, right off the bat, this is not only a new product, this is an entirely new technology that we've developed. So where Dwayne said that the KeyDigital engineers are awesome, he was referring to the social aspect of how they're wanting the feedback from the sales team because they're the ones interfacing with you, the integrators, the most. HD-based T, it's ironic I'm doing this chat 30 minutes after closing off my HD-based T webinar. Fantastic technology, but we developed our own technology for extension as well. Still going to be using HD-based T, but this is UHDoTP. It's an 18 gigabit per second extension technology that we're able to use chipsets and whatnot that are unlike any other price point out there for 18G. So we're really excited about that because that's one of the motivating factors, of course, for business and sales is how do we reach a higher quality and a lower price point, and how are we going to do this better or differently from the others? And this was our solution. And this is the first of many UHDoTP products you're going to see from KeyDigital. We're going to be releasing this into matrix switchers, into multi-viewers, video wall processors, etc., presentation switchers over the next wall plates as well. These are just the immediate plan of products that we have for you guys that you'll see throughout the business year from now going to, say, the end of 2021. So we're real excited about UHDoTP, ultra high def over twisted pair.
Absolutely. And Jonathan, as you mentioned there, I'll take the next bullet point because this is the one that's so cool. Is one of them is we have the down convert capability from 4K to 1080p. So if you've got displays in your system, some are 4K, some are 1080p, or your sources are 4K and your displays are all 1080p, here we've got the answer right here, and you can mix and match display models or display resolutions within your system without an issue.
Scott, do you mind advancing to that slide for us?
Absolutely, sir.
This is just something that we really, on the system design side of it, which is our system design group and our sales team, you're looking at two of the best members of the system design group here at KeyDigital, Scott and Dwayne. And, this was a problem that people were encountering is they're sending 4K content to 1080p displays because that's what matrices do. They just push the content around. And we have competitors over the years that have had video processors on every single output built into the matrix. Extremely, extremely pricey way to do it. We decided that here, this solution with EX18G allows us to essentially pick and choose where do we need this feature, and enabling it per output. Again, at one of the most cost-effective, at the most cost-effective 18G extender set that we have, really allows the integrators to utilize this feature and be a fraction of the cost of the competitors. I'm not just talking about the high-end, the big names in the industry that you might associate with the word expensive, or the words very expensive, but even some of the other, there are other people doing this, and we removed it from the central piece, putting it in the endpoints, if you will, to make a more cost competitive system that even blows those guys away as well. So this is going to allow you to integrate new with legacy displays if needed. It's going to allow you to use, when you're using projectors, you don't have to cough up the extra money for 4K projectors in your ballrooms and presentation spaces, because that's a big price point jump there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, Jonathan, like you're saying. So, I mean, how many 4K PowerPoint presentations do you need to see? You know what I mean? So you could have a mix between this, where it's like, hey, that signage in the, the front lobby needs to be this, but the remainder of it just, was on our 1080p sets. So, I mean, this was a huge value that a lot of people asked us about over and over again, and so far so good.
Yeah, totally. That's it. I'm really glad you guys brought this idea to the engineers, and we stuck with it. It wasn't easy to do. It takes time, and so if you're one of the people that was one of our early beta testers we approached with this product, and we told you it was going to happen sometime in early 2020, and then that became mid 2020, and now then they finally got it. It takes time.
That's COVID. COVID caused it.
But don't
we
worry.
blame 2020 on COVID.
And that's hey, this past week I had a holiday, on vacation, and I did the Packy chip, the one chip challenge.
Oh boy.
What is that?
The one chip challenge is like a jumbo sized Dorito from a company called Pocky that is it's got Reaper and Ghost Peppers.
Oh, there you go. Here we go. I knew it had to have something hot in it.
Yeah. And it had on it Packy One Chip Challenge 2020, and it made me think this is probably the only type of product that will boast the year 2020 in the marketing. I guarantee you're never going to find a bottle of wine that says 2020 on it a few years from now. They're just going to, package it some other way, because that was not a good year. Nobody's buying that bottle.
So, crazy thing is, they're having yesterday and the day before, they had these ice storms up in Oklahoma City, and my cousin lives up there, and she posted a video on Facebook, and it was like hard to tell what it was. What it was all these transformers that were blowing up on the poles in the distance, lighting up the sky because of the weight of the ice and everything. And somebody posted that it was the aliens coming, and she said, at this point, I think I may go.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Take me with you.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. So to invoke that integration tool, 4K to 1080p down convert, it's right there on the EDID dial. It's going to give a handshake to your source for 4K. So that source is outputting 4K to be distributed throughout your system if you got a matrix, etc. And it's going to down convert on the output side. And what's really cool is as you see here, we have the HDMI pass through as well. So you'll get 4K output still right there in the rack locally if that's where you need it as well. So you really have so much flexibility here. And everybody's accustomed to this EDID dial. We wanted it to be an easy way for people to turn on this tool when they need it.
Well, Jonathan, one thing that you mentioned before is timing wise, that it takes a little bit of time to make things happen and make sure it's released correctly,
Yeah.
no bugs, no flaws. But just a simple pass through of this back in the rack to be able to pop right out, either hit an AV receiver locally or something like that. This was a huge value. A lot of installers and dealers were all asking for this as an option. So something as small as that has been, totally utilized so far.
Yeah, we always think about how to make the integrator's life easier. That's what is making return business.
Absolutely.
And if you had an experience with us that wasn't easy, we want to know about it. Scott Craig will write one of his patented books to our engineering department and quality control team, letting them know that you had an experience that was very nice, and we improve. That's how it happens. That's the exact cycle.
I just like to be detailed and outlined, so that way everybody knows the steps in the process of what happened from point A to point B. So
yeah,
if we don't, negative feedback is just as good as positive feedback.
true.
So as we're getting that information, if nobody ever tells you what's wrong or tells you, hey, Jonathan, you know what? I don't like that color on you. You know what I mean? If somebody does that, you'll never change. So somebody is like, negative feedback is just as good as positive feedback.
Well, I'll take that one lightly, Scott.
Yeah, no, you always look good in black, Jonathan.
So there you go. Turn that down. Thank you, Scott. Thank you very much. And I have to do my best to keep up with you, handsome gentlemen. Speaking of looking good, this image now on the 1080p display sure looks a lot better than no image whatsoever, right, guys? So turning that dial gives us the picture. Problem solved, fixed, if you will.
There we go.
So as Scott said, here's a depiction of that pass-through report. So Scott already brought it up, but this is really huge because the UHDoTP technology, we're not here just to pump its tires all day. You gotta lay the proper expectations for the customers. Unlike HDBaseT, where you can do your HD audio formats, 7.1, for example, on HDMI and HDBaseT, UHDoTP does have a limitation. We had to decide, are we going to make sure that we could get this 18G signal video-wise? Where do we take away some of that bandwidth? So this was just in the engineering. And so we have a limitation of 5.16.1. So that's your Dolby DTS on the extension. But there you have another brilliant usage of the pass-through, because why? That AV receiver is typically located in the equipment rack anyhow. And so you're able to go right out of the pass-through port to that AVR with your 7.1 surround for those zones.
Excellent.
It's just another basic application example where we have our IR in and out. So we still have that luxury, up against our 222.
Can I say something though?
Yeah, go ahead.
The feedback we got from you guys, our customers, IR, they're more than happy to just keep it on a 3.5 millimeter. The Phoenix connector, we know the advantages there. You screw that down, it's never popping out. But when it comes to IR, those customers that are doing IR-based control, they just want to pop in the 3.5 millimeter. They're doing other methods of ensuring it's not going anywhere. We want to emphasize reliability, deliver reliability at KeyDigital. We heard what you had to say, that this is what you prefer for IR, and this is what we're giving you on the EX18G.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of novice people, if they're not paying attention, it's easy to have one frayed end going into the, the Molex and everything else. So it's like, I get that on there. I personally want to know that each one of those connections are made, tighten it up, get the tweaker out, do what you need to do. But yeah, totally agree with you, Jonathan, the plug and play aspect.
It's a double-edged sword, of course, as is so many things,
But then, of course, with being able to pass the IR, we can, as you can see, still use your remote at the TV, even if your cable box is, 100 feet away.
Yeah, that's right. So this is really a huge, huge thing. It's like, kind of overlook these things sometimes, but people may not know it. There's a lot of extenders out there that don't have the ability to plug in an IR sensor directly.
Yep.
And what we're doing is allowing you to do that. So and we include the sensor and the emitter. It's in the box. So you could have that IR, the two-way IR that is important for that. You could even send from your control system into the transmitter to be output at the receiver simultaneously. So it's two-way and bidirectional. And that just, we're thinking about all the applications.
We just
it goes both ways too.
Real quick, good thing I was paying attention. So real quick, so Ken Brown on here asked availability. So these are shipping now.
Yeah. Hey, Ken.
Later order today. Sales at KeyDigital.com.
Yep.
Ken, I'm jealous of Ken. He lives in one of the most beautiful parts of this entire continent, out in the Pacific Northwest and the Canadian Rockies, all that, and outside of Vancouver. Pacific Cabling Solutions, shout out to them. Longtime partner with us at KeyDigital. We appreciate Ken being with us here.
And our apologies, Ken, for not blasting more information out.
He's doing what he can to absorb it here. That he's joining us and dealing with us knuckleheads to get this info.
Exactly, and hopefully in the picture it looks like Ken's driving, but he might not be driving at the moment.
Great.
So
this is another
very important slide.
Yeah, what it can do, what it can't do, or you want to keep your cable minimum to 5 meters, and this was actually kind of a funny thing because the engineers, we test varying cable lengths and that kind of thing, but they didn't really think that it was so important that in order to get that equalization right for that 18G signal, you need that minimum cable length. And they didn't necessarily think about that this is something anybody needs to know. Why would you need an extender if you're only going, 15 feet, 17 feet? And but it happens a lot in installations. People just use a really
even if you only need to go a few feet, but if it's in conduit, you can't get a HDMI head through a piece of conduit. So you can't HDMI cable. So the key is just if you just have a short run like that, make sure you got enough service loop in there to give you that 17 feet minimum.
Yep.
So real quick, Ken commented. He's like, when will we get the new price list? So I am now sending Ken the updated price list right now. So
4 weeks ago, Ken, that's when we sent it out.
No, that's like a whole nother subject. You know how like when we'll do blasts or whatever, so it'll either capture the audience or not capture the audience. So it is difficult. Or anytime we send attachments, I have one dealer, no matter what I do, that it shows up as spam. It just doesn't like me. So he's like, I didn't get it. It's like, okay. Try a different email.
Yeah, we've been shipping this since the beginning of October, and so far it's been really rave reviews.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's right. So Ken, you guys would really dig it, I think.
Well, everyone that we sent it out to too, like part of our beta testers grouping is like putting it in their hands, go through, and one thing that we talk about in the R&D meeting is we constantly test things, and I'm not trying to say this being negative, in our environment every time. So part of it, as we all talked about, hey, we need to send it to Jim, we need to send it to Bill, we need to send it to Steve. So everybody tries it, and then we get the demo units and we try to break them. If we could break them, great.
Yeah, you need to know the weakest point so you can address that, and that's been great, and we appreciate the people that help us do that. And I would say, Jonathan, you can tell me, you can correct me if I'm wrong. This piece has done very well in beta testing. Been pretty bulletproof right out of the box.
Yeah, we went specifically to customers that have had problems in the past with traditional extenders. HDBaseT and other, and we these are customers that in the past have helped make our products better, the existing extenders. So we are constantly improving even existing products, and then once we get that all ironed out, these are lifelong relationships we make, and I know Scott and Dwayne, you guys being on the sales side, it means everything to you guys. It's your livelihood, and so we take these things very seriously, and fortunately those guys were professional enough to understand, hey, we found a problem, talk to KeyDigital, they're going to fix this, and they help us craft these solutions. And those are the guys we brought, a lot of the guys that we brought these for beta testing to, and those really noisy or problematic work sites and that kind of thing that had problems previously have been very, very stable and reliable with the installation of these products. So we know that throw us your noisiest environments, and these are still doing the job reliably.
Simple thing that we forgot to mention, it was a point on the slide, but we kind of skipped over it. You've got power option on either end. So you can power it either on the transmit end or the receive end, which can be very, very valuable depending on your environment.
Absolutely. Good
Everybody,
point. Thanks for emphasizing that.
It's the little things that make a difference for an installer, trust me.
That's right. Good deal. Well, guys, any closing notes we want to say for Scott, why don't you make a quick talk quickly, if you don't mind, about how the first episode of Unlocking AV went.
Oh yeah. So part of it with all the social media outlets that we're doing is now Mike usually monitors our broadcast to make sure we don't say anything bad. No, I'm just kidding. So, Mike, heavily involved in the company itself. Mike is such a plethora of information. Still, some of the ideas that he comes up with blows all our minds that we're like, oh, okay. So, and then when it comes to reality, it's like, wow. So we started another situation where we're bringing in a panelist. We just had, Jason Knott from CE Pro on the last one. And then we bring in a dealer, and it's kind of like just talking about, calling it Unlocking AV with Mike T, and then people can ask Mike questions. So it worked out really well. A lot of good responses to it. Mike was, definitely involved, and he wants to know what's going on. He always wants to hear from the dealers, consumers, and like you said, if there's something he's doing wrong, he wants to know. So I mean, we're just
But anytime you get to spend with Mike Simberg,
oh yeah,
and pick his brain, your knowledge will grow vastly. And so take advantage of these AV talks with Mike.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our dealers on our panels are like, hey, heck yeah. I mean, Mike's been around for a while, and he's got some amazing patents and everything else. So this is, with COVID and everything else, and not being able to do face-to-face interactions, being able to reach out to our dealer base, the general public, and everything else. This, seems to be increasing. We're trying not to be repetitive. Obviously, tomorrow we have coffee with Key, with all three of us here, but we're just trying to bring other people in. Tomorrow's guest, I'm pretty sure, is David Silken, one of our distributors of our products. David, a great legend. I've known David for years. And there's so many, like I call them legends. There is so many legends within our industry of just getting to, spend time with those people, talk to those people. It's amazing. It's like, I know some of the people that are just regular fans of, us or KeyDigital, but dealers, other people, they don't get it. It's like our own little, squad or clique, you know what I mean?
It is a small world we live in, but it's got some wonderful people and a lot of wealth of knowledge. And so we want to bring that, not just our limited knowledge, but others out there as well.
Absolutely. It's always a good time.
Great. Dwayne, anything you want to plug, sir?
Just keep it going. I mean, you had a great presentation earlier. Our BYOD 4K is just one phenomenal device for wireless presentations. So if you don't know about that, check it out at KeyDigital.com, and check out KeyCon. That's kind of our virtual booth on KeyDigital.com, since none of us can do trade shows right now until further notice. we have come up with our virtual booth. So don't want to drag this out. This has been great. People don't like to stay online forever, but we thank you for your time, those of you who've joined us. And thank you, Scott and Johnny. It's always fun. And I'll see you in the morning.
All right, gentlemen.
Yep, looking forward to our coffee, guys. Thanks.
All right.